Do you want to give your child a choice that they will actually love more than their digital devices? Engage your children in hobbies. Welcome to Epic Mom Life. I am your host, Kara Peterson. This show is sponsored by The Possum's Tale, a unique book adventure for your 6 to 12-year-old child. Let's jump into today's show. Unplugged and happy. 100 hobbies that your kids will love more than screens. Are you tired of tech battles? Do you want to give your child a choice that they will actually love more than their digital devices? The use of digital devices is super common. It's everywhere. Children are using their screens to engage with others, which is taking the place of interpersonal relationships. They use digital distraction, this was a new term, to end boredom. This can be detrimental to their health and it's addictive. As a parent, you want to find a healthy balance for your child. You also want to avoid tech battles. No one wants to be the enforcer of screen time, and no one wants to have their entertainment villainized. The key is the misdirect. It sounds so simple and almost silly. Do you remember the days when our kids were just babies and they would go towards the electrical outlet? You can't yell and scream and pull out your hair and say, no, 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 no. And you also can't reason with a 2-year-old about the electrical outlet. They just don't get it. In comes the misdirect. You would give a toy, you would do something, you'd make funny faces, but you'd veer them away from the danger to something else. We're going to do the exact same thing with screens. In last week's article, Healthy Screen Time, What Can We Do? We talked about the effects of screens and what it's doing to our kids' brains and behaviors and what we can do about limiting screen time. Reeling off the latest statistics and whys is not going to have the desired aha moment with your child. Knowledge of the possible damage of too much screen time will also not encourage them to reduce digital engagement. They are using the screens for many purposes: social interaction, gaming, and that digital distraction, to just name a few. The result of the immediate results and high engagement from our screen is often addictive. You need a bigger, better, and tastier carrot. Engage your children in hobbies. There are so many hobbies, sports, interests, and crafts that require time and involvement. If you can get your child interested in just one of those, they will spend a lot of time and possibly find a group of others who are interested in the same type of thing. They're going to find like versus like, right? Their own people. This time, effort, and engagement spent on the hobby will not be spent on a digital device. Such a win. My goal is to open up the world of all of these activities to you and your child by just listing a ton of different hobbies and interests. I ended up coming up with 100. I'm sure there's a ton more. If your child is still young, we're going to start with family hobbies. I also recommend family hobbies for some of the really expensive or more challenging or time-intensive interests. When you are considering a family hobby, this is a no-brainer, but I'm just going to say it. It's like that warning that all the doctors put in that everybody knows. But consider the interests of your child. For example, if you decide to volunteer as a family and your youngest is terrified of dogs, volunteering at the shelter is probably a bad idea. By developing meaningful family rituals and traditions, you can help children establish positive relationships, which may help with sibling rivalry. I'm going to have a link to my article about the sibling rivalry in the notes. This will also help to strengthen family bonds and promote good family dynamics. I created a whole month of family activities and engagement. So if you're not quite sure which direction to head, I created this in a family kindness calendar. You can get that in the notes as well. Family activity and hobby ideas. These are the fairly easy ones. Have a weekly game night, a regular outside family competition like bocce, lawn darts, cornhole, etc. Put a dartboard on the wall. Crank that music and do darts and tunes night. Family walking or hiking. Reading together. Never underestimate that good night story, even when the child is 13. Family bike ride. One of my fondest memories of childhood is our nightly bike rides. These were only like 20 minutes long. We just went around the neighborhood. Back then we actually had cow pastures, so we drive past or bike past a cow pasture. But I loved these times. Movie night. Again, you're going back into tech a little bit, but if it's all of you together, we did this weekly. And we added a pizza and we put it on the floor because I didn't let my kiddos eat in the living room. And we spread a blanket. So it was like a picnic on the floor night. They loved it. Karaoke night. Okay, this was way back in the day when people used PS3s. But we had a PS3 that had the karaoke game attached. We would do this and we had a ball. Baking. Planning family activities. So these require more planning. Volunteer at the same place together. And regularly. Invite family friends over with kids and play games, kids versus adults. Family projects. Have everyone help out, for example, with the book nook. I'll link that in the notes too. And then the homeschool room, that's coming up. Beekeeping. Raise chickens or goats. Soap making from that goat milk. Egg selling from those chickens. Make lotion or chapstick. Make candles from that beeswax. For your older kids, put a car together. You will notice that many of these also enable you to teach financial awareness and business savvy to your children. Another win. You want your child to get out there and make friends in real life, not online. Fortunately, your child loves sports. There are so many to choose from. Here's a list, although I'm certain you'll be able to come up with more. I'm just going to rattle these off. I divided them up primarily into two groups. I did team sports and individual sports. Now, I understand that a lot of your individual sports are then done as team competitions, like swim team, but it's the whole team, but it's an individual sport, right? So wrestling, gymnastics, they're all done like that. So that's why they're classified the way they are. Team sport ideas. Baseball, softball, basketball, cricket, football, hockey, ice or roller, lacrosse, rowing, rugby, soccer, volleyball. Individual sports. Archery, badminton, bowling, cross country, cycling, dance, which has ballet, jazz, hip hop, tap, etc. Dirt bike racing, fencing, frisbee, ultimate and frisbee golf. And then golf, gymnastics, horseback riding, martial arts. You have like karaoke, taekwondo, judo. There's so many. Rowing, skating, ice and roller, skiing, alpine or cross country, snowboarding, swimming, table tennis, tennis, track and field, wrestling. I totally forgot about pickleball, the new craze, right? Those are the sports. Now you have hobbies for that active child that just isn't into sports. So does your child love activity but doesn't love the whole team competition thing? That's totally me. Many of these can be added to your family list as well. An ant farm. Build a tree or a tree house or a fort. Capture the flag. Create or go to escape rooms. Dirt or mountain biking. Drone flying. Foursquare tournaments. Geocaching. Ghost in the graveyard. Parkour. The park's passbook. I love this for the family. Photographs. Pilates. Rock climbing. Rollerblading. Sardines. Skateboarding. Create outdoor treasure hunts or scavenger hunts. And yoga, hands-on activities. Your child is super creative and just needs the right nudge towards the right activity, but they like to be hands-on. Try these. Braided rugs. Build, like birdhouses or dog houses. Build, like with Legos. Candle making, card making, crochet, cross-stitch, diamond painting. That's a new one. I had to look that up. Drawing, jewelry making, knitting, life skills, metalworking or welding, model making, origami, painting, paper making, pottery, scrapbooking, sewing, upcycled crafts. I'll link that article as well. And woodworking. And then you have the child who likes to think a lot and who's more in their head. I have hobbies for that child as well. Because what if getting your child to play outside is a constant struggle? and your child does not gravitate towards activities or sports, but they like to learn and to think. That's okay. We are all plugged in differently. I totally get the more cerebral child. Astrology, that's birth date and time. Astronomy, that's the science of space. Bird watching, board games. Have you played Settlers of Catan or other games like that? Major strategy. Chess, as I was saying. Coding. Collection, stamps, rocks, coins, all kinds of things you can collect. Comic books. Crosswords. Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, I get that that's a game, but it's kind of a cultural event. Flower pressing. Ham radio. Herbology. A musical instrument. New language. Puzzles. Reading. Many public libraries have book clubs for all different grades and levels. Speech or debate, Sudoku. Writing. If your child really has an interest in writing, help them gear them towards poetry or chapter writing or whatever their interest is. Many of these activities may seem like a one and done type of thing to do, like sardines or Ghost in the Graveyard or Foursquare, that kind of thing. But if these are the types of activities that interest your child, try to create events around them. For example, Ghost in the Graveyard. That's a really simple neighborhood game played by children back in the day. So create a weekly Ghost in the Graveyard event, inviting your children's friends and have pizza or something like that. By engaging your child in hobbies that capture their interest, you can successfully reduce their dependency and desire to be on screens. Remember, that was what this was all about. Everyone has different preferences and interests, so it may take some exploration and time to discover your child's unique passions, but through these efforts, you'll not only help them discover a new interest, possibly in talent, but also empower them with valuable skills, creativity, and a love for activities beyond the screen. I can see Buzz Lightyear, the screens and beyond. So that way you're not fighting. There's no tech battle because your child is just so excited about this. So the kids' quote for this week: "Because we are playing with mysterious forces, my child, that we may know nothing about, I do not think they are evil. They may be good. They may even be divine. But whether they are or not, let us handle them carefully." Miss Honey in Matilda. If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, I want to send you a huge thank you. Please leave me a comment or review and share with other moms you know. Get in touch in the comments or on Kara's social media networks. See you next week for a new episode.